What it do? Vader Games in the building. Vader Games TV presenting another episode of Why Always Me. Amazing night of football or soccer, depending on where you are in the world. I've got a lot on my mind right now, and it's because a lot went down. So let's not waste any time. All right, we got to get into this. Let's go. All right. Thanks for tuning in. With another episode. First things first. My peoples come first. Hit that follow button. Subscribe. Hit that sub button. If you're on Twitch, you know what you got to do over there. I'm doing my best to increase my IG game, but right now on Twitter, on YouTube, help grow the channel. Every little bit counts. Trying to hit some key milestones. Humble beginnings right now, and I'd appreciate anything that you can do with a free click of the button. All right. If you guys don't know, viewers, if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm a Manchester City fan. Why Always Me is a classic moment in Manchester history. One of my favorite players, Mario Balotelli. And the reason why I thought it was so fitting for that to be the title of my show is because I often have a perspective that I find sometimes isn't shared by many. And I always find that it leads to a greater conversation with some of the ideas that I have. So I just wanted to kick it off with a show. All right. And if you've been part of this show many episodes ago, thanks for tuning back in. I'm going to address everything on the screen right there. Okay. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, I think you're going to see some banners pop up as well. But I'm going to get right into it. Post-match versus Atletico Madrid. And if you didn't see the match, you missed a classic. You missed a classic because of the importance of what went down. You missed a classic because of how close the first leg was. 1-0 victory to Manchester City. You missed a classic because it was truly a match of two opposing philosophies as it comes to football. You missed a classic because it had Pep Guardiola versus Simeone. So I'm obviously not devastated. I'm not disappointed. I'm not sad. So obviously Manchester City won. What I really want to stress is that this game didn't lead to any real surprises if you happen to know both managers. If you happen to follow the EPL or you follow La Liga and you've seen either team play, you knew what to expect with regards to the match. If you watched the first leg, you knew what to expect in this second leg. I'm going to put the stats on the screen because I think that's probably the best way to start. I'm not going to go minute by minute with regards to reaccounting what happened in the match. In my pregame, I went over my suspected 11 that had Grealish and Sterling. Switched that out for Gundogan and Switch that out for Gundogan and Foden to be the differences from what Pep put out there and what I thought. The reason that the game is a classic is because it was tense from minute 1 to minute 90. If I remember correctly, I believe it was 9 minutes of extra time. But let me just go and put these stats up here. Where is it? Let's go. All right. So stats can sometimes be misleading, but all in all, no surprises. Manchester City was going to be in control from a possession standpoint. No real surprises there. If there's possibly a surprise, it's maybe that percentage was at 61%, not higher. I think what could also be looked at as a surprise is maybe the number of shots that Atletico Madrid were able to pull off. And in all fairness, several of those did come off later in the game. But the vibes that I have for this match are, it's a learning. It's a reminder that Manchester City is as young in terms of its European history, is taking on the battles and evolving. You look at how this game was managed by Simeone's standpoint, and you understand why the stats are what they are. You understand the match that just played out and how close the margin was to victory, to possibly a draw or extra time, and in extra time, who knows? A lot of commentary was going around that City was going to be in trouble because they weren't going to be prepared. They were going to be able to handle what Simeone and Atletico Madrid were going to do on their home grounds. I thought the way Pep had the players set up, I thought the way that obviously the way the ball was going to be circulated from left to right, the way Manchester City was going to look for its opportunities, none of that was new. What was new was the late stages of the game and it really looking like it wasn't Manchester City's style of play. There were a lot of moments with regards to how the ball was managed, how possession actually was maintained, and how the buildup was playing out. I didn't see a typical buildup from the back, pick out key teammates and passes, and get into the opposing team's final third. I saw a point, I don't know if it was fatigue, I don't know if it was frustration, but I did see a point where Manchester City was, instead of getting the intricate given passes, were actually trying to bypass segments of the field and kicking it long. But all in all, from a stat standpoint, from an eye test standpoint, as you looked at the match, Manchester City was in the majority of the game in control. Atletico Madrid did turn up the pressure, did force the issue, and honestly, you look at those 3 shots on target, did have opportunities to essentially score and tie with regards to first and second leg, with a one for Manchester City on the first leg and one for Atletico Madrid, which would have forced overtime. Those stats are also very, very telling because it showed that there was an underlying aggression. 8 fouls for Atletico, if I'm reading that right. 7 fouls for Manchester City. It's not something you typically see from the Manchester City side. Let me also get into these post-match vibes and what I feel and what I saw Manchester City do with regards to its response. Manchester City and the doubters. Manchester City and its past. The players for Manchester City are obviously, there's always a cycle. There's always new players coming in, different players coming out, and that happens on every team. And I thought that the players currently in this cycle of Manchester City and what it is under Pep and with regards to this year and in particular, they're answering a lot of questions that were posed onto the team from previous seasons. And one of the most important questions is whether Manchester City could play in a match, could play against an opponent with a style that was going to be a lot more physical than quote unquote quote pure football. Was going to be able to play in a style in a tempo managed game that was going to be more gritty. Not the beautiful game. And if you know Simeone, if you know Atletico Madrid, if you know what they've done to stay in games, to stay in cups, you knew what to expect. And I thought that City answered the questions with regards to whether they could manage that game, whether they could step up and deal with the physicality or deal with the shenanigans or deal with the dark arts that were going to happen. We know that Pep is going to want to play football, right? His philosophy, what he wants to put on the pitch, he wants players to play the game. Which one of us can play the game better? Which one of us can look to take advantage of the other one's weaknesses or inability to adjust with regards to tactics? That's the game that Pep wants to play. Understanding that there's other managers that are going to look at different angles to try to exploit. And the question has always been, can Manchester City deal with a team that's maybe going to make sure to leave a couple of tackles, a couple of hits on their players? Step up and protect your ground. And this match against Atletico Madrid, against Simeone, probably the manager that's going to test an opposing team the most with regards to that, happened, and Manchester City answered the bell, answered the call. As a fan that's witnessing a lot of new ground, just last year, Manchester City made it to its first Champions League final. When you have a team that's breaking new ground like that, and you have the questions that have been luring for years, to see them answer it, to be a fan in the moment and to see your team do it, it's an amazing thing. It's something to be proud of as a fan. Get to see your team deal with something that you may have had doubts about. You had your hopes, you had faith, you believed that they could do it, but you actually got to witness it. And I think it's one of those Dragon Ball Z moments, right? Where Goku first evolves, first increases his level because he trains for the first time under extreme gravity, right? Manchester City has reached another level of evolution. It's evolved a bit. It's been battle tested with regards to this style of play from Simeone and Atletico Madrid, and has stepped up, has proven that it can deal with it. So now it's on to the next level. And understanding that every level gets layered onto this team to make this team better prepared to deal with what's going to happen in league play, Champions League play, and other cups. C answered a lot of questions. The players themselves, in my eyes, answered a lot of questions. Pep continuously looking to trust players, whether they're in recent form or if they've been on the bench for a while. He trusts those players. He brings them out. And I thought that every single player came and delivered. I have to talk about the style of play and what annoyed me about it. Two things really annoyed me about this game. The first thing that I have to say is I felt like I felt like City players didn't recognize, which they should have, they didn't recognize how the ref was reffing the game. You're not going to hear me complain about the ref. Throughout the course of the game, a ref is going to have their style. Terrible, outrageous, poor calls. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it. But what I want to talk about here is the ref obviously was not blowing the whistle for some after the play tackles or shoves or pushes. There's a timing to the game as you watch. As you watch your team week after week, or sometimes 2-3 times a week, as you see them play, there's a timing to it, right? You can see when a player is taking on pressure. There's a couple touches that they normally have before they give off the pass. What annoyed me with this match is I felt like many of the City players didn't adjust to the timing of it, where they were getting contact, and sometimes it would be, the ref would blow the play dead because of a foul. Nothing crazy with regards to a card, but you'd blow it dead because player got an advantage from fouling too hard or didn't put in a proper challenge. I thought that was happening continuously, and City players were looking for the foul. You weren't getting it. I felt like players should have adjusted better to that. Another thing that had me annoyed was the ref, in reffing the game that way, and with the players not either increasing the window of time between them and the opposing player to get off passes to avoid some of those late tackles and late hits, caused the wear and tear, although I believe them to be minor, but did cause the wear and tear, leaving the game injuries for Kevin De Bruyne, for Kyle Walker. And I think also not recognizing the style of play after that foul, in my eyes, that happened, that should have deserved a yellow card, but that foul that happened to Foden, where Foden was giving us old Zabaleta vibes because he had the injury wrap around his head, right? You old school fans, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about with regards to Zabaleta. But I thought that the players could have better managed, and in exchange, our players could have prevented some of those nicks that happened. There's something that I know I shouldn't dwell on this. We won the game. The vibe should be good. But there's something about not putting yourself at risk. So if you're going to kind of wait till the last second to kind of give off certain passes, or maybe look for, laying the ball off at times, if you're getting that extra push and nudge, that complete tackles happening onto you because you're waiting that extra second. I wish in reverse that wasn't the case, because imagine the frustration of athletical players that want to make sure that they finish those tackles but can't because now the ball's already passed off. You see what I mean? That's one thing I hope the players kind of take moving forward if they're in a match with a style of play similar to that. All right. I have to talk about this because people need to recognize it. Winning isn't the only thing that matters. No context, fine. Did you win or did you lose? Okay? But with viewers, with players, with former players, with pundits, whoever, when you follow the sport, you do have that context. You know that a game sometimes is won because of a late penalty, or a game is won because of a early, or let's relatively early in game red card, team playing a man down. Context is important, but what I want to stress here is how you play the game's important. How you set your team up to win matters. Scraping out a win at the end of the day, people will look back and see whether you advanced out of the quarters to the semis or whether you didn't. But how you play those games, style of play, tactics, dark arts, they all matter. And I have to talk about this match that happened. And I have to stress that Simeone is not that guy. The ratings that he was getting for what he was able to do with Atletico Madrid, to be able to battle against some of the top teams within his league, obviously Real Madrid and Barcelona. Him having to do that, okay, we get it. Him having to do that on a regular basis, I'm not seeing it. I'm not rating it. Teams improved under him. Skilled players have been acquired under him. The style of play that he is imposing on his players, I think, are outdated. I think the hype around him is outdated or not warranted. I think Simeone has relied on this style of play, this mentality around his players. I think he's too dependent on it. I think the man suffers, and I believe I talked about this on a previous show. I think the man suffers from PTSD from playing in the La Liga for so long and for having to battle against the giants like Real Madrid and Barcelona. For whatever reason, he believes that how he sets the team up, how he set up Atletico Madrid for the first and second leg against Manchester City is what he thinks he needs to do. And it's not because he's playing against the league leading Manchester City, because he's done this against other teams. He's done this against Liverpool. The PTSD that I'm talking about is flashbacks that he doesn't have a squad a fear, a syndrome that he doesn't have a squad to compete, but he does. I don't rate Simeone. I don't think he's that guy because I think he's dependent on a style. He's dependent on an approach that is not needed. He's not showing any adaptability. The tactics that he's trying to employ with what he's trying to do, I get it. Okay, he's had success with it. He's got an approach to it. But there's more that he can get out of those players. There's more that he can get out with a change in tactics and approach. And having gotten through this tie, I can comfortably talk about it. We know how things have to move sometimes between ties, first leg, second leg. It's not that I was going to talk reckless, but you don't want to talk ahead of yourself. You don't want to put things out there and obviously have them come back to bite you. I'm going to post some of my older videos with regards to how much I criticized. And if you're on my Twitch channel, you can definitely see those. You can go back and catch it. But I'm going to provide those clips with regards to how I talked about Yao Felix and how he's wasted his talent at Atletico Madrid. Griezmann's wasted his talent at Atletico Madrid under Simeone. The talent, the ability of those two players, and they've got a list of another 3-4 players as well, highly skilled, that don't need to play this fearful football, this scared football. For as aggressive and confident as Simeone may come across, his style of football is the complete opposite. It's almost like a Napoleon complex the way his football is. City answered so many questions being able to play against that style of play. Pep versus Simeone, Guardiola versus Simeone. Pep did his thing, proved that he's the better manager. I'm looking forward to what's going to happen on this semifinal. Got to play against another Spanish team, Real Madrid. On my next show, I'm gonna have to talk about this heritage and breaking into Champions League and earning a place at the big boy table. All the cliches. I'm going to talk about the importance of what City's doing, win or lose, because it's got to build that history, and it's doing that every year. All in all, you're not going to hear me rate Simeone. Not until I see him do something different. He's got one approach. He's got one move. And his go-to is getting played out. It's expected. All right. This quarterfinal is so key. This quarterfinal is so important because with every match played at the most prestigious cup, or for every match played so late in the season, what is so important for team play is trust. And the trust that was displayed on the pitch as well as off the pitch is incredible. It's like it's fast forwarding a lot of things that would kind of happen over 1 or 2 seasons. A lot of it is happening in a very short amount of time, but having the same impact. We just had a match where the players had to defend each other against other players that were doing more than just play football. a match of 15 yellow cards that were given out, a red card being given out, Foden being dragged at a moment, players getting in each other's faces, Sterling being grabbed by his neck. The trust that these players were able to acquire, defending each other and stepping up to the challenge, is huge. It's huge, and it's going to be so important as they continue to have the confidence and have the trust to play in the semifinals and to do their best to make it to the finals. A lot of rivals want to talk about how City's kind of fallen out of some of these Champion League matches and ties over the years. You can't fake trust. You can maybe catch it in a bottle and get the most of it, which I think happened with Chelsea last year. Those players all they would run through a brick wall. They would run to exhaustion last year. Don't quite have that this year. You have Manchester City players right now that are going all out to play for each other and to play for the manager. And they are, honestly, when you look at it, they are playing for that badge. The players recognize that they're going to do something that no other City player has ever done. That motivation, that ambition, it's different. It hits different. You coming from a long line of lawyers in your family or doctors in your family. You coming from a long line of family members that went to university. You doing it special, important. Absolutely. It's special, important. It's key. You being the first to do it and to be able to make it possible for others to do it behind you, that much more better. That much better. That much more important. That's that much more unique, significant. You rivals don't get it. The first one is obviously the toughest. But from a legacy standpoint, from a lore to get into that mythical status, when you're the first to do it for a club, it hits different. You're not just another one. You're the first. You're the first to do it. And these players know what it means, and it's driving them. I'm so happy to be able to witness it because I see every match that's being played, a level of trust that's being gained. And again, I have to stress this. The trust that's being gained is from player to player, from manager to player, from player to manager, and it's also from fans to players, players to fans. The fans themselves are trusting in the team, and it's infectious. It's empowering. So this quarterfinals, me being the international fan that I am, watching it on the other side of the pond, loved every minute of it. The semifinals are going to be another important match, difficult. It's against Real Madrid. Don't need to talk about their legacy, but know how difficult it is. And if you're not watching these games, I don't know what you're doing. If you're not watching these games, you don't love football. Rival or not, neutrals, you must be loving these games. So neutral or not, rival or not, you're watching Champions League, right? I recorded this game. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. I will watch it. Liverpool, from what I've seen, from what I've read, didn't do anything out of the ordinary. They did what they had to do. They did what was expected of them. Them against Benfica, tell me, and I'm sure it's a short list of people that thought, other than Benfica fans, that thought Liverpool was not going to advance. The confidence and the probability was so low of Liverpool not being able to get it, of Liverpool not being able to advance, was so low that Klopp fielded, quote unquote, a weaker 11. He rested his key guys. Van Dijk, Salah, Mane, rested. I think Thiago was rested as well. His key guys were rested. And that's the beauty that Klopp had, having done the business on the first leg and having an opponent in Benfica to not be stressed the way the other teams were within this quarterfinals. Klopp is going to do his thing, field a very strong team, as I see it, to go up in the FA Cup against Manchester City. Liverpool had no surprises. Liverpool was same old Liverpool. They did their thing. They did what was expected. Fielded a weaker team and still was able to advance. It's going to be interesting, and I'm going to have to do a pre-show with regards to the FA Cup. But these series of matches and the close proximity that they have, it's going to be a problem. These little nicks that have been happening for Manchester City, I think, poses a problem as well. How bad is it with Kevin De Bruyne? How bad is it with Kyle Walker? What's going to happen with Foden with regards to his collision onto the field? I really hope that everyone has a speedy recovery, because everyone's going to be needed in the Champions League facing against Real Madrid. I hope from players being available, I hope it's also going to be a good group available for the FA Cup. And of all years, it's going to be Manchester City facing against Liverpool in the FA Cup. Most recently, they had to do it in the EPL. And if all things advance the way they're projected to advance, maybe a Champions League final. The next match is not going to be easy. But as a football fan myself, soccer, depending on where you are in the world, I love to see the chess match. I love to see the tactics. I love to see the movement of the players. It's going to be huge, huge weekend with regards to the sport. All right, I got to do this real quick. Hopefully everything's working. So there's nothing messing up here. So let me do this. Cool. At the conclusion of every episode, I got to do what I do based off of viewers like you that have commented and asked. I listen to, and luckily enough, channel's humble in itself. I can read the comments. I can read every comment, take the feedback, and evolve. And I think it's a fan favorite. I don't mind doing it. And I think it's a great challenge, because one of the viewers said, "Hey, Vader, we hear that your shoe game's off the charts. You got a real one. Got a real series of footwear." Yeah, I'm not bad. I don't brag about it. But they challenged me to post a shoe for every episode, see what I got, see how long it takes before there's a repetition. I've also challenged you viewers, and again, first things first, my peoples come first. Hit that follow button, subscribe, like the video, and share it every little bit. Every time you take a moment, doesn't cost you a thing. Take a moment and you click that thumbs up button, you click that subscribe button. Even if you share it to a group to like, yo, check this out, let me know what you think. Drop a comment. All those things help this humble channel, just like Manchester City. This is a humble, early beginnings, building on its history channel right now. All right. You can be a part of the early beginnings. You can be you can be part of the day ones, the originals. But based off of the originals, they've asked me to share my footwear. And again, I'm recording. If you happen to know Toronto, if you're watching live right now on Twitch, I'm based in Toronto. It's the evening time. I'm not decked out in my usual gear. The magic of the show is this is what's on display. Things can be different below. So when you judge the footwear, only judge the footwear. Okay? Don't hit me with the comments with regards to the pants. Like, chill, relax. Take it easy. No need to go in on that. But for this outro, I'm gonna show you the shoe game. Like always, tell me if you want to just DM me, if you want to hit me up in the comments, hit me up on Twitter. All that's good. Let me know the name or the type of the shoe that it is. And again, we hit those milestones. If I'm able to, I guess, humble beginnings, but if I'm able to get to 1,000 subscribers, it's a long-term dream of mine. And then after that, we go beyond. But if I'm able to get to 1,000 subscribers, you're able to support the channel on Twitch if you're watching on Twitch. Get to those milestones. I know that through my link, if you happen to be the same size footwear as me, bonus, that's easy, no brainer. If it's going to be something smaller, I'm going to have to work my link. But like I said, I work my link, proper milestone, I'm going to be able to give out a pair of shoes. Not every episode, but it can be something where I'm now giving back for you guys, you girls that have been giving back to the channel. All right, so let me go to the footwear cam. Let me go to the footwear cam, and here we go. Oh, let me show you guys real quick. And again, I'm working on the lighting. But here's what we got. Here's what we got. Vader Games TV, Why Always Me Shoe Cam. All right. Nice and crispy. The weather out here it's nicer. Sun's out. Sun was out today. Only had to wear a sweater. That's how nice it was. But let me know in the comments what shoes those are. Obviously, what brand you happen to know. If you happen to know what brand they are, let me know. But that's the shoe game. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. There's still going to be more content to come out. I think I'm going to be talking about this quarterfinals for a while. I'm going to be talking about for a while. And then obviously as the build-up happens with regards to the semifinals in Real Madrid, I'm going to have to get into that. But you're looking at one true very proud City fan. Happy to see how the players handled it. If I didn't talk about this, did I talk about this? I'm going to have to talk about it. I'm going to have to talk about it next time. But Nathan Ake, oh my goodness. Battle tested, trusted. Very trusted. Gonna have to talk about him. Good form or not, Sterling, trusted. There should never be any doubt with him. But I'm gonna talk about these players again on the next show. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. Every follow helps. Thanks for the support on Vader Games TV, episode 20 of Why Always Me. And we're going to be back with another episode. I am going to be doing additional content with I Respectfully Disagree. And there's some key content creators out there that I just respectfully have to disagree with. I'm going to post it real soon. All right? Vader Games, I'm out.